Hello, this is an introduction to our new Hyon USA Pugio. I'm going to start by introducing the packaging. Packaging is similar to our Hyon mod. Outer box, paper box, similar to what you see here. Inside you have a leather simulated covered box with the Hyon logo, just like similar to the one for the Hyon mod. Inside you have your Pugio silver stamped logo, LED light. LED light has approximately a 24-hour lifetime, so please don't leave these boxes open overnight as they will go dead. The light does turn off when the box closes. So please overnight keep your boxes closed, or keep them closed unless someone asks you to display them. Otherwise you'll have a bunch of boxes with dead batteries, and a lot of your clients are going to want them to be functioning and to be turning on and off. So let's make sure that we preserve the battery life on it. I don't know if the battery can be switched out. I believe it can, but you're going to have to unglue a lot of the stuff on the inside, and it's probably not going to look very appealing once that is done and put back together. So I highly recommend against it. And that concludes the package introduction and Pugio introduction. Hello, in this segment I am going to introduce you to the Hyon Pugio sleeve and top cap. The sleeve will be this area right here, and your top cap. The Hyon USA Pugio top cap is a PEI material resin that is only found in Saudi Arabia. DuPont, I believe, holds the exclusive rights to bring it into the US. So by the way, black resin is very hard to get right now. It is scarce, there's not enough of it out there, and it becomes that much more expensive. What's special about this, it's the same material that we use on our Hyon sub-ohm button. This material is heat resistant up to 400 degrees. So what that means is, to you and I, is that our vapors, while they're dripping on these things and chain vaping on them, this tip will not get hot. It actually stays very cool. I have witnessed at Vape Underground 3 young men do a chain vape of 15 drags out of one dripping, and they were very impressed with flavor and balance of airflow in the Pugio. I was most impressed by the fact that this sleeve was very hot, as we all know, but this was actually very cool. So it's a Ultim top cap. They're going to come in different colors. This is its natural color, which is like an amber see-through color, and black. Black is a lot more expensive and harder to get right now. If we can continue to get black, we will. If not, amber is going to be a color that we're going to go with. No different than our Hyon sub-ohm buttons on the Hyon mods. This cap is actually grooved, and it has an O-ring that'll hold it in place. So pretty much you'll be able to drip right into your well. The sleeve creates a very nice, good size well, and I'll show you a addy that's already built on so you could see how deep that well is. But that well, it creates a very nice well. Now this cap then pops right into place, and to remove it pretty much is very easy. It's effortless. The sleeve is threaded onto the Pugio, so it is not with an O-ring. It's actually threaded on. To get that to that point where this thing actually threads onto that small piece was a challenge in itself, but look at those threads. But not a challenge for us, I guess. But anyway, there is your center sleeve, which creates the well, and then your top cap And there you have it. In this segment, the top cap and the center sleeve. Okay, Hyon USA Pugio. In this section, we're going to go over the airflow intake system and how it's repositionable, where you can position it wherever you want. And we'll also go over the hex, the center positive octagonal positive post. Sorry for the hex part. On the underside, you're going to find the grooves for the airflow channels through this system. Like most under airflow system or bottom airflow systems, airflow comes in from the bottom, then into the chamber. Now the cool thing about this with the airflow is that you have your airflow tunnels right in this area right here, or airflow channels, which you will be able to position wherever you want. Most bottom airflow RDAs don't have adjustable airflow system where you can actually position it where you want. With this puppy, you'll be able to build from your positive to your negative. If you're building on this side, obviously your coil is going to be right in this area right here. You can actually move your airflow to be right underneath it, like so. Or if you want it away, you can move it to the other side. So it is a repositioned airflow system where you can actually position it wherever you would like. Now the cool thing about that, and to complement that, is the center octagonal post. Now that post that you see there, the reason why we made it in an octagonal shape is because most round posts, when they press them in, there comes a point in time where they lose their integrity, and then you have a post that pretty much just turns. Well, with this, you can't do that. It's physically impossible, and it's very simple to adjust. Now you're asking yourself, what the heck do I want an adjustable center post for? Well, if you're one of those who likes to build single coils with 10 wraps per se, that would come in handy, because otherwise you have from here to here. However, if you could widen this slot over to this area on this side, it would give you that much more room to actually build your multi-wrapped or multiple wrap coil. Now I'm going to illustrate how that is done. What you do is pretty much hold the positive post into place, take a flathead screwdriver, all of our screws are flat, and release it about 4 turns. Once you do that, flip it up and watch, it pops up. You can see it pops up, and then all you have to do is turn it to the position that you want it in and press it back into place. It actually locks in. I don't know if the camera caught the sound on that, but once it locks in, then you simply go to your bottom channel again where your positive post is, the copper one, and you tighten it up again, 4 turns. Now remember, you don't need to really torque these things up, so try and not over tighten these things, because you do have copper going into metal and one is softer than the other, and so you may damage some of your threads. So try to stay away from that. And as you can see here, I've repositioned the positive post, so now you can actually build your positive lead through there and come and go straight across and then into your negative there. And you can also do the same thing on the other side, which will give you more flexibility. Now that you did that and you have this long coil going across, now you actually can position your airflow wherever you want. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so that's pretty much how you position your airflow channels and how you open up the octagonal positive post to give you more freedom to build whatever you'd like. Okay, in this segment we're going to go over the Hyon USA Pugio positive and negative post and give you an indication of how this thing can be built on. Now, it's very important that we address this with all staff, pretty much everything in this segment and all of these videos, because this can be a very intimidating RDA. When you look at this thing for the first time, the first thing that I have noticed with anybody that I have handed it to, regardless of how experienced of a builder they are, regardless if they're a Hyon dealer or non-Hyon dealer, everybody looks at this thing and they look like a deer in headlights, looking at this thing going, okay, what the heck is this? Let's start off with releasing the screws in the negative post. Now, releasing the screws, all of our screws are negative. I'm sorry, all of our screws are rolled screws instead of cut screws, which make them about 20% stronger than your traditional cut screws. Now, all of the screws are flathead, so you're not going to have to mess around with socket screws, Phillips screws, anything like that. Everything on this RDA, including the positive post, is for a flathead, same as the bottom. So you don't need a flathead and then a hex. You pretty much use a flathead on everything. Now, once you open up these channels, you're going to find that there is room for days in here to build. U channels, you can look at all that room. Ton of room. I don't know if you could see that considering I'm holding it from there, but let's see. Okay. Plenty of room. Now I'm going to turn this a little bit because I left it in the hex. I left the hex or the octagonal center post in the same position that we had it in before, but I just want to illustrate pretty much how much room you have to build on. Now, those of you who are experienced builders can immediately appreciate the fact that you're not going to have to thread through a hole with your lines anymore. So your wire doesn't have to be threaded anymore. It could simply be just dropped in. So you drop it into place, you drop it into place, your positive, drop it, tighten it, coil it, and bring your negative in. Or for those who love to do these sleeper coils, man, this is, I've been told this is a dream for sleepers. I saw a guy actually take a negative line right on this end, tighten up his negative post, negative lead, tightened it up, and pinched his negative lead like so. You can see where the channel here now closes, and it actually picks up any wire that you put in there. So he started here, then coiled, then the other end, brought it across by just dropping it, brought it across to this side, bend it a little bit, coiled back in this direction, and then brought it into his negative, and then he went ahead and tightened up his negative lead. Now, one wire, no break, one wire. So, I mean, to build on this thing, you guys are going to come to find is going to be a dream. I don't know how many times I've said that, but, you know, it's stating the obvious. Now, one of the things I did want to go over is you're probably asking how this does with thick and thin wire. Now, one of the things that we've thought about is the screw length. Right now, standard in here has 3mm screws, which is similar to what I have on this little pincher thing here. Now you're also going to get a set of 4mm screws, which are a little bit longer. Now I want to show you side by side on these what the difference would be. I mean, we're talking about splitting hairs here, but we're talking about millimeters. So there you have it. There you can see the difference between the two. You're going to get 3 of each to make it easier for you guys or for your customers to build on. So if you're going with a thicker gauge wire, obviously if you're going with a thicker gauge wire, you want to use the 3mm in length. If you're going to a thinner gauge wire, obviously you want to go to the 4mm in length. Now that's very important. It's important because there's a couple of factors that come into play. First, remember, your cap is threaded onto this. So if you have, like in the illustration here, if you have that side of the screw sticking out, it may hit the threads and it won't allow it to thread correctly. So you got to make sure that it looks more like the one on the right, where it's actually flush into the negative post, not like the left. If it's like this, you need to go to the smaller screw. Now, that being said, when you build on this, and I want to make sure I get this in the picture here, when you build on this, you want to keep your coils on the inner diameter, which is this area here. Okay, do not go outside the diameter, because obviously your cap will not thread. So whoever is building on this has to stay on the inside diameter, which you will see right in this area here. If you stay inside that diameter there, you'll be just fine with this. And there is plenty of room. I have had people build different size coils. Here's an example of one. Now those are not little tiny coils, those are pretty big coils, and you've got plenty of wrap. Here's another one that has a little bit smaller, tighter, but plenty of room. If you look at the outside, you can still see the metal at the bottom. If you stay within that inner diameter, you're going to be good all the way around. Now, one of the things that I do want you guys to keep in mind and to recommend is that when you're building on this, once you get your coil in position, the next thing you want to do is you want to make sure, I better tighten that screw or it will not go on. You want to make sure that everything is inside of that diameter. Now that includes wire and it includes cotton. You want to make sure that your cotton stays within the inside of that diameter. And then once you have your build and it's wicked, do not drip yet. Wait until you get this top on it. Get it on there nice and snug, remove your top, and now you have your well. Now you can go ahead and start dripping into it. Then you can, create your well and go right on top of the cotton, on top of the coil, manage your drip, manage your liquid wherever you'd like. But that's pretty much what your build would look on afterwards. Now keep in mind, there we go. Now we've got the negative post at 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and the coils, as you can see, are at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And if you notice, the hex on the one that actually has a build has the the octagonal center post. I keep calling it a hex, but it's the octagonal center post centered in the direction to actually get you to allow you to build 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. This one here is actually positioned to give you a wider span. So if you're going to go with a wider span, and here I'm just going to put this one next to it because I believe that is a 6 wrap. Okay, so if you have a 6 wrap and you even want to go further than a 6 wrap span, you actually can once you move the hex like the one on the left. If you move the hex, it'll give you that much more room to actually get some more wraps on there. So that's the whole purpose of that.